Have you ever noticed something strange? Why is it that we'll happily pay extra for a chair that's already built, but we end up loving that wobbly one we struggle to build ourselves even more? Or how we look at a master performer and see effortless grace, but find so much meaning in our own personal struggles? Well, that right there, that's the effort paradox. It's this deep contradiction that, when you unpack it, reveals a surprising truth about what it really takes to achieve something great. It's a tension you see everywhere once you start looking for it. Our lives are just full of these little contradictions. We're wired to find the path of least resistance, yet we actively seek out challenges. We celebrate a clever shortcut, but we deeply admire sheer endurance. This push and pull between wanting it easy and valuing the hard work, that's at the very heart of our paradox, and that's exactly what we're going to dive into. So to really get our heads around this, we have to start with a really basic biological principle. At our core, you and I, we are fundamentally wired to avoid effort. And this isn't some kind of character flaw, not at all. It's a basic feature of how pretty much all living things operate. And the principle is elegantly simple, really. It's not just about rats in a maze, you know? It's a universal drive. It doesn't matter if you're an animal looking for food or just us trying to get through our day. All organisms are basically designed to conserve energy whenever possible. Of course, psychologists have a name for this. They call it the law of least effort. You can almost think of our brains as being, well, cognitive misers. They're always on the lookout for a bargain, treating any kind of effort as a cost that should be minimized. This internal programming is constantly nudging us toward the most efficient, easiest route to get whatever it is we want. You can literally see this principle etched into the world around us. You know those little dirt paths that cut across a grassy corner in a park? Those are called desire paths, and they are the law of least effort in action. They're a physical monument to our collective, instinctive drive to avoid a few extra steps. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. As powerful as that drive for ease is, there's another force just as powerful pulling in the complete opposite direction. We humans seem to find this deep, profound value in the struggle itself. And that brings us to the other side of our paradox. And this isn't just some nice, poetic idea. It's a deep psychological truth. The struggle itself, the toil and trouble, can actually be more fulfilling than getting the prize at the end. It's like we intuitively understand that hardship is the very thing that forges meaning in our lives. And this brings us to a perfect example, the IKEA effect. I love this one. Researchers have actually shown that we place a significantly higher value on a piece of furniture if we're the ones who wrestled with those confusing instructions and built it ourselves. The very frustration and effort we pour into that thing, it actually increases our attachment to it. And it's not just about furniture. You see this pattern playing out everywhere. Think about marathon runners pushing through months of grueling training just for a simple medal, or how people value being part of a group so much more after going through a really difficult initiation. There's even something called the martyrdom effect, where people will donate more to a charity if the process of donating is demanding. So it's clear, in these cases, effort doesn't just produce a result, it literally creates the value. So how do we make sense of this? How can we be driven by these two completely opposing forces? Well, the key, I think, lies in understanding the massive gap between how mastery looks on the outside and what it actually requires on the inside. People often call this the iceberg of mastery. What we see is just the polished tip sticking out of the water, the flawless performance, the graceful athlete, the genius who just gets it. But what we don't see is the massive hidden foundation of struggle underneath, the mountain of practice, the thousands of clumsy repetitions, and years of hidden hardship. And here's a fascinating little twist. A lot of the time, this illusion is completely intentional. The writer Robert Greene has pointed out that making your achievements look effortless is actually a strategy. It creates this aura of natural talent, this mystique, and it neatly hides away all the messy, gritty, hard work that went into it. The old legend of Salieri being just consumed with envy for Mozart captures this perfectly. Salieri was tormented by what he thought was Mozart's God-given, effortless genius. He was completely blind to the years and years of relentless work that was hidden behind that talent. And we fall into that same trap all the time, envying what we see on the surface, because we just can't appreciate the unseen struggle. So, where does that leave us? What are we supposed to do with this paradox? Is effort good or is it bad? Well, the answer is that it's not about avoiding effort altogether, but about getting really smart and strategic with where you apply it. Let's be really clear about this. When it comes to the things that truly matter, the things that define you, learning a new skill, building something that lasts, becoming a true expert, there are simply no shortcuts. None. Shortcuts might get you there faster, but they will never, ever get you to the summit of mastery. The resolution to the whole paradox really lies in thinking strategically. The real wisdom is in knowing when to take the easy path and when you have to embrace the difficult one. For all the routine, low-stakes stuff like answering emails, yeah, absolutely, use every shortcut you can find. Templates, AI, you name it. Be efficient. But for the things that really matter, for your growth, for mastery, that's when you have to consciously choose the path of deep, deliberate, hard effort. And this brings us to this really cool, refined idea: effortless effort. Now, that sounds like a contradiction, but it's not. It's about being ruthless with your mental energy. It means you stop wasting effort on things like worry, overthinking, and second-guessing. By cutting out all that noise, you preserve your energy for the deep, focused work that's actually going to move the needle. So how can we actually put all this into practice in our own lives? Well, it boils down to a pretty clear, actionable way of thinking about and managing your effort. Okay, it starts with getting clear. Step 1, define your mastery goals. What are the 1 or 2 areas where deep, hard work is completely non-negotiable for you? Step 2, automate everything else. Be ruthless about using shortcuts and streamlining all the non-essential stuff to save your energy for what matters. And finally, step 3, reframe how you think about hardship. See the struggle in your big goals not as a cost to be avoided, but as the very process that creates the value and meaning you're looking for. And that really leaves us with just one final question to ponder. Mastery never happens by accident. It comes from choosing to embrace the struggle that nobody else sees. So what hidden hardship will you choose for yourself? What iceberg of effort are you willing to build?